Item number 14, infrastructure and request for answers over SASS and Mormon Road, Brian Caseman, resident. Good evening, Mr. Caseman. Thank you for your patience tonight.
Oh, no problem. Brian Baker. Good evening. I understand Lonnie's got some answers from SASS for some of this stuff.
I've been working with Commissioner Wayne Johnson out of Bernalillo County and Commissioner Robert Anaya out of Santa Fe County. And what we've come up with, a best case solution is, and some of you folks might not know where we're talking about, some of you may very well, but you come off Road 217 and Governor Richardson paved Juan Tomas all the way to the entrance of SASS. And it's a narrow pavement, but it's a pavement nonetheless made out of hot mix. Now, where it turns to go north at the boundary of SASS and Torrance County, Juan Tomas also continues to the east. And there is a gate there on the, be the south side of SASS, and it would be on the north side of Juan Tomas. What we've come up with is that in events that are being held, that we would have, Bernalillo County would provide law enforcement on 217 to allow traffic one way to go into the SASS events. And they would go in Juan Tomas and turn on Barton Road and go into the gate. Santa Fe County has agreed to help with material to try to get Barton Road, which is a Santa Fe County road, if we could help them with equipment to make it to where traffic makes it possible. Right now it's very rocky, and one of the log jams that happened last year was somebody trying to take a small car down it and turned sideways and jammed everything up, so traffic couldn't flow. Santa Fe County has agreed to provide County Sheriff's Department that would not allow traffic to go south, go in the opposite direction of the one-way traffic. The only traffic that would leave the pavement on Juan Tomas going into the south entrance of SASS would be emergency personnel and employees. That would be the only people that would be allowed. There would be a guard there to allow only that traffic coming in. SASS has agreed to help with the material, and they've also agreed to go from their parking lot to build a separate road, and they will put in a exit gate to where the traffic will be separated to where they can only go one way on Barton Road, and that would be to exit out Barton Road, which belongs to Santa Fe County. We have no actual entrances coming in the main gate or the exit that belong to Torrance County. The property line starts at the SASS fence line is where Torrance County starts. You had asked the question if we benefited from that. I went and talked to the hotels in the area. Every one of them had been either sold out or close to sold out during SASS events, and they were all sold out during the Warrior Dash. Edgewood probably would be the biggest benefactor. Hunter Lumber sold $15,000 to $20,000 worth of merchandise for that one-day event, and then they also follow up. Our restaurants had an increase in sales, and although we don't get a breakdown of our gross receipts during those time periods, we can see a elevation of the gross receipts coming into the county. So I will say that the county does benefit from it. What I've tried to do is keep any type of non-personnel coming down your road. And I know you have Mormon Road, and I would venture to say, is that the one that heads back to the south off of Juan Tomas?
No,
Mormon Road, I'm not for sure where it is then.
it's at the end of Juan Tomas. It heads basically east but a little south, going up the hill to what's declared private by the Torrance County Commissioners, August 1996. I'm wondering how I get that enforced, to keep people off it.
Get up.
Well,
What I asked.
if this thing
Because
works,
there is a letter for trespassing.
if this works, then, traffic should not be coming down there.
That's not the only problem I have, keeping other people who don't belong there off the road. And this was done for 3 reasons: burglary, gun action, and trespassing. Judge Jones told me to come out to the county commissioners way back then and get it declared private, which I did. I have a problem doing all that and the sheriff's department not caring enough to enforce it.
Well, I disagree with you about
That's exactly
the,
why I brought it up.
I disagree with you about the sheriff's department, not caring. I have people that come down my road, they don't live there either, but they come down and they try to tear up the road. I've called, the city police of Moriarty, they've responded. I've called the sheriff's department, they've responded if they've had somebody in the area. And, what I'm trying to do is to keep the traffic from coming down there. There shall be a guard that's there where the pavement ends that will only allow employees and emergency personnel to go down through there. That's for 2 reasons. One is to keep traffic away from your neighborhood. The other is to where emergency personnel can get in and out.
And residents can get in.
And residents can get in and
All
out.
right, the problem I have, way back in '96 when I got it declared private by the Torrance County Commissioner, sheriff right over here, where PNZ is, used to be the county manager's office, told me minimum 30 to 45 minutes response time. Take care of it and call it. Since that day, I have only one question: why would I bother calling the Torrance County Sheriff if I gotta take care of it? And there are no Torrance County Sheriff's deputies out there very often. And with a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes response time, I don't imagine they're gonna catch very many trespassers, do you?
No, sir, I don't.
Yeah, so, you know, I just, when they don't even wanna respond out there, I have to question. And I did have, an issue, and was talking to the DA's office right over here in the courthouse, and somebody gave me a little, information that I might wanna call DPS instead of Torrance County Sheriff if I wanted to see a cop. That's pretty sad.
If I may, Mr. Caseman, I don't want to interrupt, but at this late hour, I do definitely want to commend Commissioner Freiberger for getting all of that done in a 2-week time. I know you've been working on it since the initial, since it initially came up on one of our agendas, but there's been substantial, looks like work being done to make sure that we do not have the jam that you guys had to endure last time. And really, this is just a wonderful evidence of what community activism can do, because you guys filled the seats, you came forward, you talked about your needs, and government is working as it should when your elected official responds. And so I think there is a lot of positive to take away from this. I'm glad that everyone's come to the table. I would recommend just maybe trying to put it all in writing before the next event. And I'm sorry that you don't feel that you have adequate police coverage on that private road, but at the end of the day, I certainly would want to stand up in favor of supporting our sheriff, because I know that he has responded to any and every request I've ever made of him. So, you know, with that history behind saying that, I think that there's always, he's always willing to come to the table, and I think he would in this instance as well.
You're a county commissioner. It does have a little bit of weight behind it, and I'm sure it does with the sheriff. I'm not sure The Joe Blow down the street from me has the same weight that you do. But that's not my only point, you know, I've learned to live with that. But I do want to point it out that, you know, people do come out here to commission, and they do get things straight and they get things passed. And I don't want county maintenance. I don't want anybody else up on the road except people that belong. And that I would like some help with. But I also asked, and Lonnie didn't mention, I asked originally about the insurance that SASS is supposed to have on the event. And by the way, that unsigned piece of paper is in P&Z's file on SASS, and it was put in there by Dennis Waller, county attorney at that time. Now, I would like an answer on the insurance for their event. At the time in May that they had the Warrior Dash and the fire pit, I believe Santa Fe and Bernalillo County had fire bans in place. I don't think SASS is stupid for being in the northwest corner of Torrance County where you guys have a little bit of say, but then everything falls into Bernalillo County or Santa Fe County or DOT. But if you go through the file, you'll see that P&Z approved SASS's permit on the 8th of June '04, and they didn't post the property, I think a little backward, July 11th. The pictures are in the file. So that's over a month after P&Z approved it, they decided to post property. I don't know. You know. But while we're talking about the permit, how did they go from 4 events a year on this permit with no attachments to it to being allowed to rent their place out for an event such as Warrior Dash or any other event without the approval of the commission? And then there's a biggie here. I definitely have a problem with them advertising a public shooting range that opened in February of this year. Are you aware of that?
Has that shooting stopped?
No.
Okay.
And
Steve,
the sign-
did you and Mr. Wallen, you have visited with SASS?
Well, I'm just asking how the permit can be done. Very good.
Yeah, the other day, Mr. Wallen and I met with the SASS representatives, and we informed them that they had overstepped what they were allowed to do with that conditional use permit, and they were gonna, the one lady, she was new to it, and she wasn't aware of the limitations of their conditional use. And so they were taken by surprise with the numbers of people that showed up, for one. But we've discussed it with them, and we gave them some options that they need to do if they want to hold events out there beyond their society events. And they're taking that under consideration. We also offered them some options of how to get traffic in and out of there if they do decide to expand on their use of that land. But as it stands right now, they're aware of the limitations, and they said they would stay within those guidelines.
As we left this evening, the public shooting sign, it doesn't say public shooting anymore. It says, end of trail, and it does say, Founders Ranch shooting range.
Okay.
And-
Well, thank you.
And, you know, the thing about it is, it does go over to normal too, is what I always know. Last month when I was out here, there was a lady out here who lives at, off of A102, whatever. And she said that she could see their chapel from her house on SASS's property. And like I said, if you could see it, they can hit you with a bullet. The 22 goes a mile and a half by what the box says. And that's not reload, that's nothing fancy, that's just right out of the box. And I can guarantee you they've been shooting a lot more than 45s and small arms down there, and recently. And I don't understand how they can get away with doing what they do, and then everybody going over and saying, oh, well, you know, this wasn't covered in the permit, but, you know, we can do this and we can do that without coming out here or anybody else asking the public, and especially the people who live there, what they think about having a shooting range. And Lonnie and I talked, I said, you know, if they want to have a shooting range there, public shooting, why don't they go down to Cedarville or somewhere like that, where there isn't any, for mile and mile and mile. You know, they picked the northwest corner of Torrance County, which is probably the most populated part of Torrance County. And they picked it for their convenience, but they picked it because it's close to Bernalillo County. All they gotta do is walk across the street, Santa Fe County. Not gonna have any problem. I would like to see DOT consulted on the road issue though, with New Mexico being the way it is. If you just kick it back out, you know, and they're going one way and going out the other, it's still not gonna do anything for public safety on 66 and 217.
I thank you, Mr. Caseman, for coming again this evening. You brought, again, some very valuable information to the table for us to consider. And Commissioner Freiberger, you've done an excellent job in responding to this. I would like to give Commissioner Tapia an opportunity to comment if she would like, and then the other residents that are from that area, if you'd like to make a brief comment as well. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is John Johnson. I am old, some parts don't work, but I'm not obsolete yet. What Mr. Caseman was speaking about, and he just handed this to me this evening. It's the first time I've seen it. I do live very close by Mr. Caseman. But what I have here is, and I have copies for all the commissioners, is that
Lynette, would you mind bringing the copy so he doesn't have to make the walk? Please, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
all right. This is a letter for the record. Dear Commissioners, I spoke briefly at the Commission meeting June 27th, 2012 regarding Commission matters item number 6, concerns about SASS and voice need for strict ordinances with regards to Torrance County events. Mr. Brian Caseman and Mary Ann Indy preceded me with comments providing significant amount of background data relative to subject topics. My comments were limited to the specific possibility of a vehicle caused fire at an event such as the Warrior Dash that was held at Founders Ranch in May. What I omitted from my comments was the fact that I have seen the results of a vehicle fire started by a catalytic converter parked over dry grass. That fire sparked an explosion of the vehicle's gasoline tank, which triggered several other explosions, resulting in the destruction of over 100 cars. I think that a vehicle fire or explosion in close proximity to or in the middle of a crowd estimated to be in excess of 20,000 people could trigger a riot in which deaths resulting from people being trampled or burned could easily initiate wrongful death lawsuits that could bankrupt Torrance County. I consider the chairwoman's comments regarding the possibility of committee being formed to review the SASS situation to determine a course of action for the county is particularly appropriate. In this letter, I present items that I think need to be made available to the Commission and/or its committee for purposes of due diligence and to assist the Commissioners in fulfilling their fiduciary duties. One, I have been advised by Ms. Indy that the tape of the minutes from the Torrance County Commission meeting at which Mr. Ken Marzano first spoke to the commission about SASS is somehow currently unavailable. I suggest that a very diligent effort be made to locate this tape. Two, I think it is essential for the commissioners and the public to have an official record of what SASS has done in the past and what they plan to do in the future because A, there is no record in the Torrance County files of an original application for SASS to have a conditional use permit. B, the conditional use permit for SASS was approved by Torrance County Planning and Zoning on June 8, 2004, a month before signs were posted requesting the permit. C, photographs of posted signs dated July 11, 2004 asking permission for a conditional use permit for SASS are contained in the file of Torrance County Planning and Zoning. And D, a conditional use permit for SASS was issued July 11, 2004, the same date as on the sign requesting the permit. I find the above conditions and events beyond the realm of coincidence. I find them to be in the realm of things that need to be officially investigated and acted upon by the proper legal authorities because the above information indicates that SASS got a permit approved by Torrance County before they even asked for it. This certainly raises the question of who was in charge of Torrance County Planning and Zoning when the permit was approved for SASS and who approved it. 3. Because major events such as the SASS End of Trail and now the Warrior Dash have been held at the SASS Founders Ranch, at which the general public has been admitted to the grounds and have been in and around the buildings and facilities on the Founders Ranch site, I think it is of the utmost importance that copies of all the plans and building permits for all facets of Founders Ranch be made available for inspection at all Torrance County Commission meetings so the public and the commissioners can inspect and question what SASS has done in the past and intends to do in the future at the Founders Ranch site, and make the SASS responses part of the official record. The SASS plans and permits should clearly demonstrate that all issues of the public health, safety, and welfare have been completely addressed and the public protected in all areas, and particularly in the area of structures and facilities of the SASS Founders Ranch that can be accessed in any way by members of the public. It has been alleged to me that the owners and directors of SASS Founders Ranch have taken a position that because some of the buildings on the ranch site are, or have been, on skids, no permits are necessary. Perhaps this is true, but no basis for this alleged position has been forthcoming, and I submit to the Commission that from the onset of their appearance in Torrance County, the owners and directors of SASS have reacted to inquiries about SASS activities and plans for the future in a manner that seems decidedly less than candid. For example, the metal building at Founders Ranch is not on skids. It is bolted down to permanent concrete foundations, and a metal building plopped down in the middle of what was portrayed by SASS as going to be an Old West movie set hardly seems appropriate. The recent Warrior Dash event was sprung on a large part of the county's population without any prior warning. This event, with open fire pits and massive traffic jams in the middle of tender dry extreme fire danger, indicates either a fundamental lack of a grasp of reality or a complete disregard for human safety on the part of the SASS owners and directors. I think that a certain amount of risk is inherent in an event in a rural setting. But I also think that a mere token recognition of this element of risk does not relieve SASS or the Torrance County Commission of the responsibility or liability for any damage or injuries occurred or sustained by members of the Torrance County Commission cannot or will not demonstrate that every requirement and condition of every permit and regulation dealing with public access and safety at Founders Ranch has been met and the public is risk-free at Founders Ranch. Then the Founders Ranch facility could be found in default and declared unfit for the admission of anyone except SASS members. I consider the actions and attitudes demonstrated by the owners and directors of SASS toward the citizens of Torrance County during and after the recent Warrior Dash event to be morally bankrupt, unwarranted, and reprehensible. Most frightening of all is the fact that the SASS owners have already scheduled a Warriors Dash event for Founders Ranch in April 2013. Ms. Andy provided me with a document from the law office of Mr. Dennis K. Wallen, PC, dated August 5th, 2004. The document is entitled Memo to Torrance County Commissioners, County Planning and Zoning, and County Manager from Dennis Wallen, County Attorney. RE Conditional Use Permit for SASS. In this memo, Mr. Wallen states, quote, SASS and the Neighborhood Association reached an agreement on conditions for the conditional use permit allowing SASS to hold public events on their property. I have attached those conditions, which must be appended to the conditional use permit as necessary now and in the future in order for the conditional use permit to continue. I recommend adoption of these conditions for the protection of the county's residents and the property owner. In addition, the following agreements, which are not part of the conditions of the conditional use permit, were made between SASS and the representatives of the Neighborhood Association, end quote. I think it is of the utmost importance for the commissioners to note the following and make it part of the record. 1, the quote-unquote Neighborhood Association is not named or otherwise identified. 2, the location of the purported Neighborhood Association is not identified. 3, the representatives of the unnamed association and/or their official status and duties are not named or otherwise identified. In this regard, I am willing to file an affidavit with the Torrance County Commission stating that I am not now and never have been a member of any neighborhood association in Torrance County, nor am I aware of the existence of any such organization in the area immediately adjacent to the SASS Founders Ranch, either now or in the past. I do not know how a legitimate binding agreement can be made between SASS and an unidentified quote-unquote neighborhood association and its unnamed, unidentified quote representatives. It is my belief that such an agreement is not possible and therefore renders any conditional use permits from Torrance County for SASS to host public events null and void. My wife and I attended the SASS trail one year, and as we were entering the grounds, one of the SASS members who was charged with inspecting women's purses and people's backpacks, etc., engaged us in a conversation, and during the course of that conversation, he mentioned that SASS had been run out of California, so they moved to New Mexico. Giving credence to the possibility that his remarks were true, the question arises, why did SASS leave California? 8. I will be among the first to agree that the current Torrance County Commission appears to have inherited a particular nasty situation with multiple glaring inconsistencies and problems. But I also firmly believe that the cavalier attitude and actions of the SASS owners and directors that I have personally witnessed are the heart of the problem and need to be reined in immediately. 9. I found it particularly interesting when Mr. Caseman noted that the SASS headquarters building that is visible from I-40 is located in Santa Fe County. Why was the building not located on the 400-plus acre Founders Ranch in Torrance County, where Torrance County could benefit from tax revenues from the building? 10. Because some of the comments in a memo to Torrance County Commissioners, County Planning and Zoning, and County Manager dated August 5th, 2004 from the Law Office of Dennis K. Wallen, PC, appear questionable, as noted in Item 5 above. I formally request that all conditional use permits for SASS be declared null and void and revoked. 11. The recent Warrior Dash fiasco in May 2012, with a repeat performance already scheduled by the owners of SASS for April 2013, should be a clear indication that the SASS owners have no concerns about Torrance County other than what they can pillage from its citizens. The Warrior Dash is apparently an exciting event, and it goes without saying that St. Jude's Children's Hospital is a national treasure. But Founders Ranch is not an appropriate venue for the Warrior Dash, no matter how much money the SASS owners can gouge out of hosting it. I believe that revocation of any and all permits for SASS to host events where the public safety is involved would provide sufficient grounds for the cancellation of the Warrior Dash event at Founders Ranch in April 2013. In my opinion, the path of due diligence and fiduciary duty on the part of the Torrance County Commissioners is to protect the citizens of Torrance County. I believe the cancellation of the conditional use permits for SASS will help accomplish that purpose. Respectfully, John J. Johnson, IV.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. This was beautifully written and a lot of good points were made. Certainly, we don't have the time right now to address every issue that you brought up, but I can assure you that Commissioner Freiberger, I'm sure, will give this as much credence as he does all the other requests. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So it looks like this issue, we will continue to address this issue, and Commissioner Freiberger will put it back on the agenda when he has more answers to give, and we will let you know. Yes, ma'am.
Changed my mind. I did have a question.
Okay.
Debbie Donis, got that part. Commissioner Freiberger, you have spoken with the people from the organization?
From SASS,
From
yes.
SASS, yes? You've spoken with the people from SASS, told them that they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. Was anyone from our area involved in any of those meetings?
My conversation was over the phone, and I didn't tell them they couldn't do something. I was requesting the help in material.
And really, we do appreciate your efforts on our behalf thus far. However, you and I both know that they've not lived up to the reason they were allowed to come in. They came in basically as an educational organization. I've not seen a school tour. I've not seen it used as a movie set. They've used it for their personal playground. They have taken what used to be a beautiful tract of land, and they have essentially ruined it. They have taken and they've sold off the buffalo that were there every year. They filled it with longhorn cattle, which are quite beautiful. However, they used to have 400 acres to roam. They have less than 200 now. They're fenced in. They don't get to roam. It's overgrazed and they're underfed. And I sure would like to know how to get a hold of someone to have them come out and check on them. These are not good neighbors. They will do what they want. I will give this commission credit. You make eye contact with the people that come up here and talk to you. The commission that we dealt with in 2004, they diligently kept writing on their papers in front of them. They wouldn't even look at you because all the meetings were held after the fact. So I will thank you for what you have done, what you are trying to do, but somebody has to put a stop to what they're allowed to do. I thank you for your time.
Just a quick comment. I know I've discussed this with Mr. Caseman. You know, this has been in since 2004. And I know Mr. Caseman asked me how quick I would get something done. And then he asked if it would be before the first snow fell. You know, I do believe that we're working diligently to try to get things done and in order. But I would ask that, you know, we be patient and that we make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row to where we are able to do. The first meeting with the attorney and with Steve produced the fact that they showed him what was wrong and that they have said that they would proceed forward to try to correct. I've gotten the commitments from the other ones, but this cannot happen overnight.
Nobody expects it to happen overnight. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember what happened Friday morning?
Friday morning?
In Denver, Colorado, or in Aurora, Colorado?
Yes.
Commission's well aware of the shooting
Yes. Yes,
at the
ma'am.
movie theater? Saturday morning, for about 4 hours, we could hear weapons just like those being shot. We could hear them again on Sunday. They're not making any attempt to do what they've been told they shouldn't be doing. These are not black powder guns. They're not single action shots. They are unbelievably noisy. I can imagine what it sounded like in the theater where you were closed in, because I live a half a mile from where they're shooting, and that's all we can hear. So it has nothing to do with what their proposed, what they came in as, single action shooting society.
And hopefully these things can be corrected.
I hope they can.
Yes, ma'am.
Like I say, I sincerely thank you for your efforts on our behalf. I happen to be the closest person to that range, but I can walk down toward Johnny's house down in the valley and I can hear it the whole way down. And that's about a mile and a half, 2 miles. So it's not a quiet existence that we now have.
Well, again, thank you for your passion and for your plea. Thank you, Commissioner Freiberger, and everyone who's been involved in trying to get this resolved. And just a closing statement that really it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility, and we will be held accountable to you, and we will continue to work on this.